Hi there guys, in this video we're going to have a look at the Federal Assault Ship. This ship was added in 1.4. This video is a redo because I actually uploaded the wrong file. I must have selected the one without voiceover accidentally. Thanks for pointing it out. I'm going to have to actually just redo it. So the first thing to do is to actually have a look at the ship in the shipyard. Bear in mind this is a beta, so prices will be different than what you will see in game. So as you can see, the Federal Assault Ship is a lot cheaper than you normally see. It's just under the 20 million mark. It has a top speed of 214, a boost speed of 337, a manoeuvrability of 4. It has a frameshift drive up to around about 19. It has a whole mass of 480 tons. It has a maximum kind of cargo space of about 96 units. I will go into detail in a minute, a bit more. I think the first thing to do is actually buy one and show you around the cockpit. So as you can see, the cockpit looks okay in this ship. I don't kind of like these two handlebars we've got on the left and right. You find these on most of the Federal ships, which is unfortunate. On the left we kind of not have a lot much there. We have a kind of drinks dispenser I suppose, but that's about it. And on the right we've got pretty much the same thing again. You can see your view is a little bit blocked on the left and right. On the top it's not too bad, but really these two bars are the main issue. So the next thing to do is have a look in the outfitting section. Bear in mind the Federal Assault Ship is a kind of a smaller version than the Federal Gunship, so we do have less hardpoints. We have 2 Class 3 and then 2 Class 2. What I'm going to do here is to put some weapons in them so I can show you where they are later. So like I said, this hardpoint is on the underside and the second one is on the top. Like I said, I will show you where they are properly later on, as I normally do. So there's your 2 large, or Class 3. And then, like I said, we've got these 2 mediums on the underside. So anyway, that's the hard points. Let's move into utility mounts. We have 4 on this ship. This is where we place our shield boosters, kill warrant scanners, etc. Next we move on to the internal. So like every other ship we have bulkheads. We start with the lightweight and we can upgrade it to the reactive, mirror or military or reinforced. The reactive adds an extra 87 tons like the mirrored. The military is also 87 tons and the reinforced is just 44 tons. So if we move on to our reactor, we have a Class 6 reactor. This should supply a pretty good amount of power to all your systems, giving you 25.2 megawatts. So the next thing we have is thrusters, which are Class 6. I will fit in Class 6A because then I can show you how quickly the ship turns and how fast it accelerates, etc. Frameshift drives, we only have a Class 5, which, like I said, gives us up to about 19 light years, roughly, depending on how you equip the ship. Like I said, with the engineers you might have to get it up a little bit further, but it is a little bit low. For life support we have Class 5. To be honest, I don't pay a lot of attention into life support. The power coupler we have a Class 6, which is pretty good for this size ship, I feel. For sensors we have Class 4, which, like I said, the sensors, once they get to a certain size, don't become that important. Again, I'm just going to fit Class 4A for this. For fuel tank we have a Class 4, which gives us 16 units of fuel. That is not massive. It's okay, but it could be a little bit on the small side. And finally, let's have a look at the optional internals. So here we have 2 Class 5 slots. We have a Class 4 slot. We have another Class 3 and 2 Class 2, giving us about up to 96 tons, I believe, of trading space if you don't have a shield. Given its price around about 20 million, it's not going to be a particularly good trade ship. You're going to want more than 96 tons, which is something like a Class 6 can do. Again, I'm just going to set these file groups up so I can show you where they are later on. But I think the next thing we need to do is actually have a look at the external of the ship. There seems to be kind of a little bit of an annoying bug with a lot of the Federal ships. They seem to be, when you stick the camera on the outside or use the external camera, they always seem to place it under the floor. I don't know what that is, but obviously it's not a minor issue, but anyway. So this is how the ship looks. It kind of looks very similar to the other Federal ships. Myself, it's an okay design, but it's not exactly as exciting as the Imperial ships. The Imperial ships have obviously that nice rounded at front and the white and black colour scheme, whereas these Federal ships seem to be a bit more grey and drab. Although it's down to your own preferences, you may actually prefer this design over the Imperial ships. If we look on the top, you can see it's kind of a bit more of the same sort of design. The wings do actually help give you a little bit more thing to design. If I can try and show you how the side looks, because sometimes it's not always easy to look around these ships. So on the side you can see we've got pretty much the same sort of thing going on. The next thing we'll do is have a look at the back of the ship. Sometimes having a look at the back of the ship is something that can be quite useful, but it's something that you don't often get to see. So the engines on this ship, as you can see, are kind of built into the design, which is rather a neat thing. Sometimes like the Imperial ships have the engines on the external, which makes them a bit more vulnerable. But yeah, as you can see, it's all kind of, the engine's all part of the ship. So all in all, it's an okay looking ship. I wouldn't say it's anything that brilliant, but it does the job. So the next thing to do is to get this ship into space, where I can show you the speeds and how quickly it turns in that. Just got to get through the docking hatch. So if we get the engines up, we've got a top speed of 243 with a boost of 403 that was. So yeah, it is a pretty nippy ship in that respects. Like I said, there are going to be a few ships faster in it, but there aren't going to be that many ships that are faster. Probably the Viper or something like that probably is. Okay, so the next thing to do is show you the turn speed. For this I'm going to show you for the best case scenario, so I'm going to do it at the blue point with 4 pips to the engine. Like I said, my tests aren't that thorough in that respect, it's just to give you an idea. So it's looking quite nippy. I think we're just going to get about 8 seconds, so that is pretty good for this size ship. That just gives you an idea of how quickly it turns. It's nothing that scientific. Remember, this is best case scenario as well. So the next thing to do is to show you the weapons and all that lot. So for this I'm going to have to move away from the station. I don't want the station becoming hostile to me and trying to blow me up. This is easily remedied by just going into hyperspace and coming back out. So if we get the weapons out, like I said, I set the 2 fire groups up, so we have the large ones of the beam and the medium of the pulse. As you can see on the little target radar thing, you can see we've got 2 top and bottom, that's our beam weapons or our large weapons. And then to the left and right we have our medium hard points. So I'm just going to turn the ship around so I can actually show you where the hard points are. So if we look at the top first, we have our large hard point on its own. It's kind of at the front of the ship and it's in the middle. It's not in a great position, to be honest, because it's so far away from the other guns, whereas all the other guns are on the underside. So as you can see, we've got a large hardpoint more at the front, and then just behind it we've got a set of the two mediums. Like I said, I like showing you where these hardpoints are because sometimes it's not obvious where they are on the equipment pages, and sometimes when you've got somebody showing you, it can make a difference of what you put and where you put it. So that is where the hardpoints are. Like I said, we have most of them on the underside with one on the top. It's okay, but I would have preferred them all on the underside. So if we look at the ship in the 3 points that I normally do. For trading, then this ship is not ideal. Ships that cost around this sort of level should offer you a lot more cargo space. For example, the Type 7 would be a much better choice, especially since it's been updated in 2.2 to give you a bit more space. For exploration, then this ship is a little bit on the lacking side. For exploration, you kind of need about 25 plus light years, and this ship will top out about 19. You may get a little bit more, obviously, with engineers and swapping equipment, but that's going to be a bit of a limiting factor. And finally, for combat, well, this ship is not bad in their respects. The turn speed is pretty good on it, but though it's supposed to be trying to rival the Imperial Clipper, which is sort of about the same sort of armament. However, that ship does offer you a lot more versatility with the much more cargo space. So I'm not too sure, like I said, with combat in this ship. It's okay, but it's not the... Oops. Good job this is beta. I don't think I'm going to land this one. Oh well. Oh well, don't matter, it's only beta. So as I was saying with the combat, the hardpoints on this are in a little bit better position than that of the Imperial Clipper, whereas that has two kind of hardpoints kind of far apart, which you end up usually putting the turret in. On this one, you probably end up putting the turret on the top, which obviously turrets aren't ideal, but that's probably the best case scenario for that. However, the Imperial Clipper does offer a lot more round in the ship, giving you the cargo space as well, and obviously that will give you a lot more trade and possibilities what you can do with that ship. So anyway guys, that's a look at the Federal assault ship. If you have any comments or suggestions, please let me know or leave them below. If you like the video, please like it, that always helps me, and also subscribing. Thanks guys for watching, take care and have fun out there.